All right. So what up, world? It's your homeboy Wordplay TJ, and I'm back with another video for you. This time around, I'm sitting with Jason Grishkoff of SubmitHub, and we're going to get into the meat and potatoes. Stay tuned.
Love it.
All right, Jason. So this has been a long time coming. Like you said, I before we started recording, I reached out back in 2016. I was really enthusiastic about SubmitHub when it first came out. And I was just like amazed at how you put it together. And when I watched the interviews about the process and things of that nature, and you were tired of Google and dealing with that life there, how did you feel the website was going to be impactful to curators and musicians?
Oh man, so I was starting SubmitHub to solve a problem that I had. So I still have a music blog called Indie Shuffle, and back in 2015, music blogs were still pretty cool, still quite relevant. Spotify had only recently launched in the States, and so what was going through my head was that I needed a way to get the 300 email pitches I was getting per day under control. I was ignoring them essentially. I think I would occasionally pay attention if it was a publicist or a familiar name, but otherwise it was pointless to email me. And I think it was the same for most other blogs. We'd just given up at that point. And so the thought process going into SubmitHub, I never did expect it to really take off or even be a business. I just wanted to build something to solve the problem. And the growth and I suppose the success of it has all just been this organic, responsive evolution. So, I mean, to give you the example, when I launched SubmitHub, it was a really simple form: artist name, song title, and a link to your song. And then I used some of the coding that I'd learned when over the years of building Indie Shuffle to put that into a feed that looked like SoundCloud. So if you sent me a YouTube or a SoundCloud song, those were the two ways to do it. They all came through in the same format, and I could just hit play. Thumb up meant I liked it, and thumb down meant, sorry, I'm not going to cover it. And then, so that organic evolution came when people would reach back out and say, look, you thumbed down my song, but why? And so I just thought, like, if you give me $1, I'll tell you. and they said yes. And I was like, okay, cool. Okay. Yeah, I wasn't expecting people to bite, but I think the landscape at the time lent itself pretty well to that. So in 2015, the only real way to reach curators, like independent Spotify, that wasn't a thing. It was blogs. That was it. And the only way to reach them was email and get no response, or hire a publicist for $2,000 a month. And so when I came along and I said, cool, $10, you can pitch to 10 blogs and get an actual response and detail from them within 48 hours. Anyway, to answer the question, like I've never really thought of it as or I've never really approached it from how do I build a business here? It's just been more of that organic response of the balance between the curator's interest and the artist's interest and growing with that. So feedback is pretty essential to that. I'm just I'm a reactionary coder. Like people reach out and go, oh, I wish it did this, wish it did that. And I go, okay, cool, give me 5 minutes. And then I go and I do it. So
I love that.
That's sort of the evolution.
So speaking of feedback, right? Feedback is very subjective. And this isn't one of the questions that I put here, but it's coming to me right now. Feedback being so subjective when submitting on SubmitHub. How do you feel like artists should deal with that emotionally? Because it can be a tough thing to have like a 22%, approval rating.
Look, the internet is a scary place. There are a lot of bullies out there. I'm not saying SubmitHub is a place. I've definitely had people reach out and say, SubmitHub is next level bullying and you should get psychology. And I was like, oh,
yeah, I don't feel that way.
But I think a good way to approach it as an artist is to realize that you shouldn't dwell on the people who are not connecting with your music, but take it more as an approach to try and find the people who do. Because if you were to approach a crowd of 100 people and mention some of the biggest artists alive today, right? Beyonce, Adele, whatever, all these little drip and little shorties and little whatevers. 99% of them wouldn't like that music, right?
Right.
So even you take these pop stars, Lady Gaga, Beyonce, etc., maybe 5 out of 100 people like it. And that's enough to make them big time, right?
Right.
And if 5 out of 100 makes you a mega A-list celebrity, as an independent artist, you shouldn't be dwelling on 99 out of 100 people telling you no. You should be trying to find that one person who does connect with your music, and then that's where you want to foster the relationship.
Yep.
And then maybe find more people like them, or just spread out from that. When it comes to the feedback on SubmitHub, I mean, we've put a lot of work into it systematically, right? There are tens of thousands of pieces of feedback going out every single day on SubmitHub, and to manage that from an organizational level, I don't want to sound corporate-y, but I mean, we do have to run a business.
Right.
There's a lot of experiments and systems we've put in place to try and improve the quality. At the end of the day, you're paying $1 for someone to sit down, listen to your song, and write something. And most of them are, they're enthusiasts, they're hobbyists. They're not, most of them don't know how music works, right?
Right.
Especially Spotify playlisters. Like a large quantity of them are just doing it because they like building playlists and they like hustling Facebook ads, and they can grow their audience and get people listening. So all of that is to say, feedback's subjective. Some of it's good, some of it's not. Extract what you will from it. Some of it might resonate. You go, oh yeah, you know, that does make sense. But like, don't take it to heart, right? Because that's not what you're. The one of the quintessential examples to me is someone like Kanye West, who seems to employ this all PR is good PR type of mentality, right?
Yeah.
He has got to be one of the most hated musicians out there,
and loved.
And I can't imagine what his like Twitter feed looks like. Just people spewing hate at him all day. Like, it takes an emotional toll.
Yeah.
But I guess I bring that up to say that as a small artist, you're getting a little taste of it, and it's never going to go away, and it's going to keep it, and it's how you move past that and focus on the positive and what you can take from that. So yeah.
If your ambition is to build those 1,000 true fans, and I've heard you talk about that before, then your 1,000 true fans aren't going to be the people that subjectively don't like it, right?
Right.
And so when building that, do you believe that's the next frontier? Because I know that, you know, right now, not a lot of blogs are doing as well as they were back when, you know, the 2010s, when I was submitting every week, right?
Yeah.
And so, yeah, is that the next frontier? And how do you see musicians actually executing on that 1,000 true fan goal?
Yeah, well, so first, a little bit of context about why I think maybe that is a better way to go. Spotify just released some updated numbers, and they're saying there's now 100,000 new songs uploaded every day. Wow. 100,000. It's crazy, right?
It's too much.
And the internet is huge. There are now billions of people on the internet, and it's quite easy to sort of cast yourself out there and get exposure, right? So you're doing hip hop, or you're an indie rock band, or you're a singer songwriter. At the end of the day, you're probably going to make a lot more money from live performances, selling merch, and interacting with your fans than you will from the digital space.
100%.
So for me, I think one of the first steps you have here is to try and identify where you fall in that. Are you going to be, are you cool doing the digital side? Is that your vibe? Or do you really feed off of fans and want to be involved in that and be a rock star? I don't know.
That's a great point.
So, and then once you've got that figured out, then you can go at your strategy, right? If you're doing this digital thing, SubmitHub's great for that. It's passive. You can just sit there in your underwear, submit music to people all over the world, hope for some streams that trickle in.
Right.
And you can use that to leverage the algorithm and push yourself further. There's also Facebook advertising. And I mean, I'm a big proponent of not putting all your eggs in one basket. So just a tangent here, like if anyone ever asks me to name an artist who's blown up because of SubmitHub, I can't. I won't.
Yeah.
Because it doesn't work that way. You can't, like, there's no way today to just go one avenue. And so SubmitHub is a tool that helps people get there. And I can think of a lot of artists who have boosted themselves, but then they have to take that boost and convert it into something. And that's not me. That's not something I can do. So bringing it all back into the 1,000 True Fans and Kevin Kelly, and how do you do that online? It is about finding those connections and fostering them. And so my thinking is that a lot of that should be local.
Right.
So if you are based in the States, trying to build up your audience in Australia is kind of pointless, right? You really want to hone in.
It's good for streams, but not necessarily good for shows, right?
Exactly. Yeah. It's fine for streams, right? I mean, Spotify pays similar rates. Well, definitely in the first tier, they call it. But yeah, it's not going to help. So look, if you're based in New York or you're based in Tacoma, you're going to go a lot further in your career by trying to foster that audience at home. And then once you've done that, that can start to grow. So focusing on local bloggers, local playlisters, local influencers, local everything, and then also performing and connecting with fans and actually like communicating. That's sort of the strategy I would use.
When looking at the difference between like the approval ratings between premium and standard, there's about a 16% gap.
Yeah, it's big. It's big.
So like, why do you suppose premium is different from standard when it comes to approval?
I think a lot of it boils down to the people who are using them. So what you'll have is all three major labels use SubmitHub daily. They're really fragmented. Their teams are all over the place and they don't even talk to each other. But there are at least 50 accounts from Universal Music Group using it per month, and they're based all over the world.
Right.
These guys don't waste time with the free credits. They jump straight in with the premium. They want to spend 5 minutes on here because they got a busy day. So they will just buy 50 or 100 credits, send it off and go. And the quality of that music is generally a lot higher.
Right.
I think many people would complain that sometimes it's generic and safe and it's not interesting, but that's kind of the point. These labels are looking for broader stream music.
Right.
And like it or not, a lot of curators fall for that as well. And today, I think a lot of Spotify playlisters are more focused on building a kind of a safe playlist within their genre or their niche that's going to bring in listeners and keep them coming back. You want your listener to keep hitting play on that playlist, come back to it every day. You're competing with a lot of very high quality, professionally backed music at the premium level. And these guys are all pushing that. There are almost no professional artists or labels or publicists who will come in and use the free tier of credits.
Got it.
I would say as someone, I think I've sifted through 50,000 paid ones and 50,000 free ones. The quality comparison it's obvious. And that's not to say the standard ones are bad. Like the bar is really high these days.
Right.
It's very rare that you get a song where you're going, wow, this was not professionally done. I would say maybe 1 in 100 or even less than that. For me, there are two reasons. One, the quality. The second one is the way that people interact with these different types of credits. So with the standard submissions, I'm under no obligation to listen for a minimum amount of time or give feedback. What that means, though, is that I tend to go through my free submissions in the background. So when I'm getting through my emails, I've got 30 standard submissions waiting for me. I'll play them in the background, and I'm not focusing on them because I don't have to write feedback.
Right.
And we actually find a parallel here because you can submit your music with premium credits and ask for no feedback. And instead, you'll get a 90-second listen time. And what I've found and what I can see in the data is that these submissions perform way worse than the ones with feedback. The 90-second submissions do a lot worse because they are passive. So what happens is I'm getting ready to write my feedback. I look for the input box and it says, you don't have to write feedback. It's a 90-second submission. And so we see, even though they're premium, because they're not asking for feedback, they also have a lower approval rate. I haven't checked it too recently, but I think on the feedback ones, it's somewhere around 20 to 22% approval rate. And on the no feedback ones, it's 13 or 14%. So you already see that drop there. And then it goes a little further with the free ones.
I'm sorry. Is that an official kind of recommendation, so to speak? Is like always try to get some feedback?
Totally. Even if you don't want to hear it, you can can actually just disable the notifications.
So thinking about SubmitHub and some of the features, right? When it comes to influencers, I had a really good time submitting to influencers, and I haven't put that video out yet, but I recorded some stuff. And
okay, cool.
Like what inspired bringing that feature on?
One of my things is I like to pay attention to what younger people are doing.
Uh-huh.
I've heard that you go through your greatest phases of discovery, be it music, art, whatever, from about 18 to 30. And after that, things slow down. So to try and look at where that demographic is engaging with music can give clues into what's cool. And obviously today it's TikTok, right? That's the new buzz, right? So the buzz was, it was all music blogs. Then the buzz was Spotify playlists. Now the buzz is TikTok. What I think has actually sort of happened in the background is like blogs used to be kingmakers and no one's replaced it in my mind.
Mm-hmm.
Today, we're focusing on TikTok and influencers in large part because that's sort of where the demand of the industry is. They are asking us, how can I do this? So we were well poised to do it. We've created as a marketplace for micro influencers.
Yeah.
And it can have, I think it can have two uses, neither of which are the reason that people actually go into influencer marketing typically. So
right.
The typical mindset is, whoa, everyone's talking about TikTok. I got to get my song on there so that I can go viral too. And the reality, of course, is that it's not going to happen. So I think there are two things you can gain from it. Number one, we actually find that the major labels like to do this a lot. They'll come in, dump a bunch of money, and look for 200 to 300 of these micro shares so that the feed, when you look at the song on TikTok, the feed just looks like it's busy.
Right.
And then you've got social proof in a way that the song wasn't a flop. And they can go to their managers and be like, see, we pushed this artist and here's some of the success metrics. That's one technique that you can use just to fill up your feed.
Yeah.
The second one is more about approaching it from the mindset that you are hiring people to create content for you with your song. Right. And so we do allow submitters to provide a prompt that has to be executed, whether it's a lip sync, a dance, a dress up, whatever. And you pay a little bit of extra, but the mindset, I think, is you're saying, cool, I'll pay you $10 or $20 to dress up in purple and wear, mouse ears and do this to my song. And then what you have to do is now you've got someone who's created content for you, and you can't expect that on its own to do anything. You have to leverage that piece of content to re-engage your existing base. The other point I like to make on the influencer stuff is I don't think it's a good investment of money if you yourself are not trying to become a presence on those platforms. Right. Having your own TikTok where you're just throwing up album artwork or follow me or whatever, I think you're wasting your effort there, and it's probably not going to help to get influencer shares. So
I think part of this video is that I want to use the tips that you publish on Indie Shuffle for the basis of this video and just kind of bring people into this conversation and things of that nature. But you mentioned the future of SubmitHub. What does that kind of look like from where you're sitting right now?
I'm not entirely sure where to take it, right? So the one thing I have to keep in mind is where the young people are and what they're listening to. There doesn't, not to my knowledge, there isn't a next from TikTok. TikTok is still it. So we're going to continue to hone and refine our influencer offering to increase the quality. And the hardest thing we struggle with there is just making sure that influencers are doing what they have committed to do and delivering delivering results. The next thing I'm going to work on is the SubmitHub marketplace. It's kind of like Fiverr, but it will be on SubmitHub.
Okay. I was thinking about that
Fiverr
earlier.
does it. Fiverr is a publicly traded, legit company. But the idea here is there are a couple of things I'm trying to solve, and I'm hoping that a marketplace tool will help do that. So one, SubmitHub for labels. We've had that since 2016. It's less than 1% of submissions go there, and about 30% of our customer support tickets come from it. It's a mess. And part of it is this wild, wild west of like, what is an independent label today? What do they offer? Many of them are actually selling something. It's a promo package that you're going to buy or whatever. And so that seems a lot easier to package up into a marketplace rather than a labels thing. And no offense to labels, there are some great ones out there, but it just seems like a nice, graceful way to shut that down. Be like, sorry, SubmitHub for Labels is closing, but if you're really passionate and you have something to offer artists, convince us and we'll list you on the marketplace.
Makes sense.
The next one is album reviews. I've been threatening to do album reviews since 2015. And things have sort of been on my side in a sense that albums just aren't as big as they were. And every year they're sliding. So people nag me less and less, but I still think it would be a cool offering alongside deep critiques of music. So if you really want an audio engineer to get into your music, don't expect to pay $1. You're going to have to spend $20 or $30 for an hour of their time. And I think there are a lot of people out there who would be stoked to get $20 to just listen to music for an hour. It's not great pay, but it's not intended to replace someone's full-time job.
Yeah.
Also, $20 is great pay depending on where you are. So albums, then there's a lot of stuff we can do, and we're there in that hub of music. So help putting together EPKs, album artwork, mixing, producing, just pretty much anything music related. Oh, another one I think would be cool, right? Facebook advertising. It's confusing. It's hard.
It is.
Why don't you just pay someone to do it for you? Boom.
It's always changing.
We got so many of our Spotify playlisters who that's how they keep their playlists active, is through Facebook advertising. These guys know how to set stuff up for you. So pay them $15, $20 one-time setup fee, let it slide. So that's sort of the logic behind it. And then the other one that's just like floating in and out of my mind right now is distribution. And again, we're well positioned to jump into that game. So that could be on the books for 2023.
Okay.
If I feel like it. Sometimes.
Yeah. I definitely want to be mindful of your time, and I appreciate you taking the time to sit with me and talk about all of these things, talk about SubmitHub and understand like how artists can make the best of it. And so I expect this video to come out in about a week or so.
Cool. Well, that's a pretty quick turnaround.